Welcome to the Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My podcast.
Where the supernatural gets real, baby.
Hey, Spirit Gang. Welcome back to this little podcast we call Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My. I am Nancy Christine Brady.
And I'm Tara Diana. And
Was
we are excited. At least I am excited.
We're so excited.
We are so excited. We are so excited because Tara doesn't know how to do anything technology-wise, but we are still excited to be here. I did do some research. I am very excited to talk to you about spirit confessions. And this is funny because originally when Nan brought this up to me and said, what do you think about doing this? And I was like, oh, okay, I have a few things I could talk about me. I don't know if I have enough spiritual confessions, though, to talk for 30 minutes about it. And so I said, leave it with me. And because between Nan and I don't think we could fill up 10 minutes with spiritual confessions about oopses and whoopses and all those things. So I said, let me do some magic. Let me go look up some famous people that are mediums. And we can talk about them. So when mediums miss, lessons from famous cases with a little sprinkling of Nan and I in there. So, hey, beautiful souls, I'm excited to be here, like I said, with Nan and doing this. And today we're going into the sticky real stuff. We're going into the sometimes humbling side of mediumship, the moments when even the big names got it wrong. Big names, James Van Praagh, Sylvia Browne, etc. We're not here to shame because we're all human. We are spirits having that human experience. This isn't about shaming anyone. We're here to learn, to protect our clients, and to remind ourselves why ethics and humility matter. And a quick heads up.
Yes.
I'll give you timelines, some of the more famous quotes folks cite, and then Nancy and I will share some real world misses we've lived through. Are you ready, Nan?
Absolutely. I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's talk about, I'm going to give you some short bios and who they are and why they matter. Okay. So we're going to talk about Sylvia Browne. Quick bio. Rose to national fame in the 1990s and 2000s through TV, notably good old Montel Williams. Do you remember Montel?
I do. I used to watch his show all the time. And Sylvia Browne at the time, I bought a lot of her books because she was the only one really in the 90s in the public eye that as developing mediums you could go to and learn more, unless you were looking into like Sybil Leek for witchcraft or Edgar Casey or any of that stuff. So, and she was so popular, so popular.
And she had, a lot of books. She did radio. She was branded as a spiritual teacher and psychic who offered like readings, missing person info, not my cup of tea, and afterlife teachings. I'm not even 100% sure what the hell afterlife teachings means, unless she's talking about being a medium.
I think Afterlife, like the books that I have, talks about what it was like in heaven, what it was like when you were a soul on the other side, and Akashic records and that type of afterlife.
You mean I could write a book about that? Because I got a lot of knowledge about that.
Yeah, you could. In fact, we could even write a book together.
Well, look at that. Something to look forward to. Then stay with us. Okay, so why does Sylvia Browne matter, baby? Massive media presence. Okay, dozens of books. Nan has them all. Devoted followers. So when she made public mistakes, babies, they got huge attention. She presented herself as an authority in the spiritual world, and that's why Mrs. landed so hard.
Absolutely, because everybody's watching.
Right? Okay, let's talk about James Van Praagh. Now, James Van Praagh always reminds me of like some like really nice kind of guy, kind of plain Jane guy. And his actually take on mediumship flows that way. You know what I mean? He's a storyteller. So quick bio about James Van Praagh. Became a public figure through TV specials and books, known for emotional, story-based readings and producing TV shows about spirit contact. I'm not sure if he's the one though that did what was the one with, oh my god, I cannot remember the name of the show. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Ghost? No. Was there a show called Ghost?
Yeah, I don't know if he was the consultant on that. I don't know if he was.
He was a consultant on one of those things. and maybe
We'll look it up.
maybe we'll look it up and we'll put it in the Instagram. Um, so why he matters? He popularized that warm storytelling, and I do know some mediums who kind of take that. Personally, I find it a little bit drags on and on, but storytelling style of mediumship that translates well though to TV. So his editing and production controversies matter when we think about media portrayal.
It's Ghost
Oh, I
Whisperer.
was
That's the
close.
show he
I had a
talked about.
ghost in there.
You're really close. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Ghost Whisperer. That's right. I watched that show a little bit. I'm not a huge TV person, so I was busy watching Inked and stuff like that.
Me too.
Right? Yeah, when you talk, and I think this is very interesting, when you talk and you do the work yourself and you're really embedded in the work, like I could say I do this 24/7 in some capacity. Like I live it all day, every day. I find I'm not really interested in any of those shows. I'm just not.
Right.
Right? Never been
Yeah.
interested in Theresa Caputo, never been interested in My Mom's a Medium, you know, even fictional or non-fictional or reality TV or whatever, which is kind of fictional anyway. But never been
Right.
interested in that. So that's just a me thing. But show me how to get a new tattoo and I'll be like right in there like a dirty shirt. Okay, John Edward. Now my personal story about John Edward um is literally this. He Oh dear. I got two tickets gifted to me by a client when he was here many moons ago. I went with Lynn Marie, so that she's been gone for about a year now. So this was way back when. So we went there, and there's this lovely lady sitting behind us, and she was super sweet, but she was very emotional. She just lost her mom, I think a couple months ago, and I could hear her and she was talking to her friend. She was, I know John's going to bring in my mom and all this stuff. And I actually
Mm.
had no idea who John Edward was. I just knew that he had a popular name. I didn't look him up. I don't follow him, anything like that. So anyway, John Edwards staff come out and they're like, oh, anyone that wants to, the first 6 people that go to the back and sign up for 1 year of John's membership will be able to ask John a question. So that lady was up like lickety split and she was at that back and she signed up and he was the first name John Edward called. So they put a microphone right in front, told her to come and step into the aisle. They put a microphone right there. So she's right behind me. And she's so excited, Nan. She's like, okay. And her friend's smiling because I'm craning my neck to watch, right? I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
what's going on?
yeah.
And so he says, hello, so and so. What's your question? And she says, my mom recently passed away and I would love to hear from her. And I don't think she even finished saying the sentence when he was like, oh, no. Nope. No, these questions are about me. You can ask me, how I got into the business. You can ask me. And I was like, are you effing kidding
Oh
me?
my God, that is awful. That's awful.
I I was like, I looked at Lynn Marie and I was like, what in the fluff? And the woman started to shake and she's stuttering. And he's like, yeah, anything about me. Do you have a question? And I leaned back and kind of like this. And I said, tell him to come back to you. You don't have a question. Tell him to come back to you. So she said that and she sat back down. Now, he did come back to her eventually and give her a message about her mom. I think he had to save some grace there. But he also did something else, Nan, that turned me off faster than your no leaky faucet. It was like, so this man, front row of this. I was at the Vancouver Hotel, and I'm pretty sure it was at the Vancouver Hotel. It was a hotel downtown, big fancy one. And you can tell this guy's there with his wife. He's not a huge, psychic fan or anything. He's uncomfortable.
Right, right.
And John tells him to stand up and he starts giving him this big message. You're a butcher. You work in a butcher shop. I was like, well, that's some intent. You must know this. You must know this like your name is John Edward. And he's telling this guy, and I can't see the guy's face. His back's to me. And so the guy's finally, he says, can you take this? And the guy says, no, no. And John says,
No.
well, you work with knives. And he's like, no. And John says, well, why are you here if you're not going to take the message?
He
He
didn't.
did.
Oh my god.
He did. No word of a lie. That stuck with me as I was already doing mediumship. You know, I was well into my career. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? Who does that?
That's insane. Yeah, who does that? Exactly.
Okay.
Wow.
That's my personal story about him. Let's talk about a quick bio with him. You know that he was in Crossing Over. So he rose with a television show, Crossing Over, live tours. That's what I'm talking about. Marketed as an evidential medium who could bring specific details from spirits.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay. Why he matters, his format. Live readings turned into edited TV segments, became a template, and the debate over edited accuracy became a defining skeptical critique, right? Way to go, John. Way
Mm.
to go, friend. Okay. So we're going to go to Theresa Caputo. Now, she's probably one of the most famous ones right now, still very popular. I don't know how many times she comes through Abbotsford in a year, but I heard she's coming back. I did see her many years ago. Very nice lady, not my cup of tea, although I have her nails, but not my cup of tea.
No, no, your nails are way nicer.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's do a quick bio on her. Long Island medium, reality TV star. First time anyone's saying that in all of these people, right? Featured, you know, home visits, live readings, big on family drama, right? Emotional reveals. Why she matters. Reality TV format. Blurred entertainment and spiritual work, raising questions about ethical boundaries and how editing affects perceived accuracy. Number one thing I couldn't stand about her is this whole perception that we're on 24/7 and that she walks in. The one and only time I watched her show, and then Lana being my daughter, turned it off. She walks into a laundromat. Well, not a laundromat, dry
The
cleaner.
dry cleaning episode. I think I watched the very same one and then turned it off. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
she walked in there and she looks at the guy at the counter and she's like, "Your father in spirit?" I don't know. Ethically, I know there's going to be some people that would love that to happen to them. To have a medium come up and say, "Your mom's here. I have a message for you." I know with every ounce of my being that people would love that. I also know with every ounce of my being that if I was to do that, I would be crossing an ethical boundary because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't know if the individual really wants me to bring that up. Do you see what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, we don't
100%.
know that. We don't know if they want a message.
I call that the show up and throw up type of meetings or readings.
Yep, yep. And not my cup of tea. So
Yeah, me neither.
these are the four people. Yeah, I know. I wouldn't be surprised if you were like, that is not my thing. Like, it can't be. Can't be. We can't work together if it is. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about timelines, quotes, and context with this, okay? So, quotes below are widely reported in press coverage and major TV scripts. I've labeled the typical source, and I'm going to send that out into Instagram and into the Spirit Lounge. Which, if you're in the Spirit Lounge, our monthly membership, you're going to get a whole little thing of more information about each one of these guys. So let's talk about Sylvia Browne. Are you ready? 1990s to 2000s, regular TV appearances, large following. 2003, on Larry King Live. Remember Larry King? Oh, Jesus. Larry
I
King Live.
do. I do.
That's like a CNN. That was a CNN show. And other appearances, she told Sean Hornbeck's parents that, again, I didn't go into every single thing. So Sean Hornbeck was missing. Okay. And so his parents were on their show. She told them that their son was dead. She said that he was in the water near rocks. Okay. I'm going to give you guys something here with this. Nan, so I had a community reach out to me a couple months ago, maybe a month ago now, and they asked me the same thing. Someone was missing. What do I feel? And I don't do missing people. I but I do talk to dead people.
Right.
And so I said what I said. And I said, he did jump off he did jump, and he's caught between the rocks. Like, he's caught between a, I said, but that's all I can tell you. I don't have anything else. I can't pinpoint it. Spirit can't pinpoint. You know what I mean? So it always makes me uncomfortable. I tend to shy away from that, because I can only give so much. I can only give so much. And it's too much, too much. They come at you with such ferocity, and they're just, I just can't do it. But this is what she said about this Sean Hornbeck's. So here's the kicker. In 2007, he was found alive.
Yeah.
So this became a major public scandal, widely reported. So you can look at CNN, Associated Press, Larry King transcripts. You can go and look at that. This was a big deal, and it really was a big deal. She was roasted. Mid 2000s, several high profile misses and disputed claims in missing person and criminal contexts. That's a lot, right? She's banking them up now. Now, here's the thing, Nan, and I want your feedback on this too, is that the longer we do this work, the more you are going to have things that are inconsistent. The pipeline, right? We're a conduit for spirit. So things can be misinterpreted. This isn't like science.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, it's not our job to interpret the message, but sometimes we do, right? So we're playing with the signs and symbols from spirit, so we have to come up with some type of language to relay the message. And sometimes how we intuit it isn't always 100%. If there's anyone out there that says a medium is 100% accurate all the time, I will fight them. I just think that that's absolutely ridiculous because, like you said, we are a human living a soul experience. And it's one of those things that we can never be 100% right.
Okay, seriously, someone please contact Nancy and in our IG and be like, I'm saying mediums have to be 100% right, because I'd like to set up the fight. Boxing gloves, boxing ring. Go, Nan, go. Okay. 2013, public statements that certain missing women were dead. Now, Amanda Berry. Do you remember who Amanda Berry was? Is?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Widely cited. She brought up Amanda Berry constantly, and Amanda was found alive that year, 2013, found with
Yes.
2 other women and a baby. The public outcry was like crazy. So
Yeah.
skeptics like James Randi, who runs that Skeptical Inquirer pieces, highlighted her large number of misses and the use of generalities or leading questions. Talk about fishing for a second. You can ask a question in 2 ways in mediumship. Okay. You can ask the question for clarity. So you're giving a message and you're like, I've got a man here. He smokes a pipe, and I'm feeling like the pipe was really important, but I'm not sure if the pipe, like, you know what? You can have that little bit of inconsistency and then turn around and say, would you understand a man smoking a pipe? That's for clarity. So you're on the right track. But if you turn out and you do
100%.
this is a big thing for me. And you turn around and you're like, I have a Mary Margaret Murphy Mandela here. Can anyone take that? How many people can take a Mary? Right?
Right.
That to me is fishing. Right? I am really, really, really of the mindset that I go to people. I'm led to a person when I do platform work. This is the person I come to. I don't worry about names. I don't worry about dates. I am a feeler, so I'm a clairsentient and a clair knowing. So I just cognizance. I just know, and I'll come to you. Asking a question for clarity, absolutely. You got to know you got the connection. Asking, can someone take this person, and that's fishing. Did he read a book? Did he read a book? Right? I think
Mm-hmm.
I've made my point there with that. Commonly cited quote. This is just reported. Paraphrase commonly used from 2003 Larry King era. He's not alive, he's in water. Used as an example of a definitive statement that later proved false.
Mm-hmm.
So this was what she said. This is what's reported that she said. I didn't watch the episode, but this is what is reported that she said. That is a miss. There's no, there ain't no coming back from that one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
what can we take away from that as mediums, as intuitives, as people that are doing this work? Because remember, you're supposed to be of service. You're supposed to be helping people. There is a danger in definitive language in traumatic cases. Telling grieving families someone is dead without that proof. I mean, sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just have to. But this is exactly why I don't do missing. I'm not afraid to be wrong. That's not it. The bed bug story. Remember I told you about the bed bug story?
Well, tell our listeners.
Okay, so this was again quite a few years ago. I was reading for this lovely man. I haven't seen him in a while. It makes me laugh because he doesn't like my hours. But anyway, um, he used to go to a medium who had many years on me, and he'd come to me. He liked going between us. Anyway, he came to me one day and he's like, I don't know what this is. Now, I don't diagnose people. I don't do anything like that. I can't. I don't have that kind of expertise. So, but spirit will say certain things to me. So anyway, he's showing me this rash that he had on his body, and he's like, "Do you think it's bed bugs?" And so I put it out to spirit, and I was like, "Is this bed bugs?" I got an immediate no. I got a no that was so strong. I was like, "Absolutely not." Okay? So he comes back and he sees me. This has got to be months later. And he's like, "Hey, do you remember about the bed bugs?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he says, "They were bed bugs." I said, "Are you kidding me?" Now you get that immediate feeling of like, oh, I was like,
Right.
I was so adamant. This is what I'm saying to him. I was so adamant about this, my friend. I said, "I don't know what to tell you." He goes, "Don't worry about it. Liza got it wrong too." That was the other media. And I was like, "Really?" I was like, I don't know what to say. And when that happens, I couldn't even think of why spirit would tell me no and tell Liza no, for God's sake. At least we matched. And it really was like, you always go back to, is there a lesson in this? I mean, was he supposed to suffer? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
That's just it. That's a place my head goes right away. Because sometimes spirit will tell you things because the person is learning and working through their karma or learning their lesson, or there's something to be learned from that moment that they're not supposed to get out of it, if that makes any sense.
Right. So that brings us to like ethics. When to speak
Mm-hmm.
tentatively versus when to claim certainty. The thing is that that's what I got. I can't make it up. I can't change it. You can't change it. I can choose what
Mm-hmm.
information I give though. If I feel this is something that is not going to benefit them to know in whatever capacity, I can dummy the message down so they can get it gently. They can receive it in a
Yeah.
way that doesn't cause them panic or fear or anger or hurt. I can change that. Right? I can say to spirit, "Give it to me in a way, because what you just gave me, I ain't saying."
Right.
But also, it brings into question, like, how do I repair the trust when a client is like, "Nah, you're dead wrong. Those were bed bugs." And the thing was is that he didn't care. It didn't bother
Right.
him that it was wrong, but it bothered me, right? I was like, what? And to this day, I have never had spirit come through and say, "Okay, Tara, let's talk about this bed bug situation here. Let me tell you why I gave you that." Now, does that happen to me often? No. Which is why I told you that I didn't think we could make a 30-minute session talking about you and me,
I agree.
right? You and me in our confessions. But it happens. And again, do you know what my saving grace in that was? That Liza was wrong. That was my saving grace in this. Okay. So, you know, that was the Sylvia Browne thing, and those are the only 2 points that I want, because I want to talk about the other ones really quick too. So James Van Praagh, timelines, late 1990s, 2000s, another guy in there. I remember him mostly, to be honest with you, Nancy, when he was doing the whole Doreen Virtue. I said her name. Doreen Virtue, and going on cruises and doing angel card. You could become a certified angel card reader. You know how I feel about that. But he and her would tour together, and they would come in like
Yeah.
a bull in a china shop into, like, a hotel for the weekend, and everyone would be doing their courses, and they were a big deal. So he loved his TV specials. He had best-selling books, large live audiences. But in the 2000s, he was doing, some heavy editing and selective airing of hits. So Dateline was kind of like one of those shows that was like, we're going to investigate some segments here that raised questions about the live hit miss rate, right? The live hit miss rate. Now, I need to say something. I don't know about you, Boo, or maybe we just don't. We're just, I mean, not doing the number of platform work that this guy does, but I don't
Mhm.
have a huge amount of misses.
Yeah, and I don't think I do either, unless people just haven't shared it back with me.
Well,
Like, I'm sure I've had some misses, but I was really trying to think about where I might have missed, and I just don't know.
I mean, sometimes people can't take the information super clear. They're like, "Well, you're close," or something like that, and then I'm always like, "No, you know what? We'll just leave it on the shelf and we'll come back to it." But they're talking
Yeah.
here about, live hit and miss rates. Now, I can't imagine that any TV producer would be like, "Oh, we're going to show all your misses and hope this show comes back next year." I remember a producer saying to me, "I had to be entertaining.
Yeah.
I had to be entertaining," and I said, "Oh, okay." Didn't love that, right? So,
Yeah.
not super excited about that. And skeptics published, like, analysis describing broad statements, name baiting as common techniques that he was using. A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. Uh, they just do, because they're not actually doing mediumship. You will never see me walk into a room and be like, Mary Margaret Murphy. My mom used to always say that when she was calling us. Mary Margaret Murphy. She never said Tara or Paula. But you'll never see me walk into platform and do that. I just don't do that. So this is still kind of an ongoing thing for him. It gets brought up every once in a while. But his supporters, like, will cite many moving moments, right? Like, where he's really connected and it's really deep. And Sylvia had those too, and it was really powerful. And critics say editing creates an illusion of high accuracy.
It does. It does. It does.
Right? So, and again, out of 40 statements, many were wrong. Only the hits aired. This is a quote attributed to an investigative reporting about his editing. Out of 40 statements, many were wrong.
But think about it. I mean, we do that on social media every day. I don't put a picture that I look ridiculous. I'm going to edit that picture so that I feel my best. Of course, they're going to do that in Hollywood so that you're only seeing the good stuff,
Exactly,
right?
right? I mean, TV production, it's not just him. He doesn't get the final say in everything, no matter what anyone thinks. The editors, the producers, the directors, they're like, okay, how is this going to be good TV, right? TV production needs to be perceived as credible, right? You're putting these people on. So again, how do we keep, clients' expectations realistic when you offer readings in a marketed format? So, you know, we're not perfect. We're not
Yeah.
meant to be
Yeah.
perfect. There are always going to be
Exactly.
hit and misses. And if the critics want to just focus on the misses as opposed to the hits, and how many times do someone says to you, "Oh, I don't really understand that portion of it," and then they come back to you later and be like, "Oh, I went home and I thought about it, and this made total sense to me."
100%, almost all the time. Because that's why, like when you said earlier, let's just set that aside. Because sometimes if it's not hitting, it might not be meant to hit at that exact moment. And then suddenly they have the aha moment. Because I call it sitter's amnesia, right?
Mhm.
Because they're trying to soak everything in, and we're telling them so much. It's why I record all my readings, so you can go and listen to it later on when you're less in the moment and you can actually focus on what's happening.
I tell them to record the readings because I talk so fast and I won't remember anything I say. But
That too.
you know what? I have had to say to clients many, many times when Theresa first came on, I would get phone calls, and this is a long time ago. I don't do this kind of work anymore, but I would get phone calls and they'd be like, "Are you like Theresa Caputo?" And I'd be like, no, no. Right? I said, no, that, you got to remember that this is edited TV. So it's not always going to be the same as private work. I'm sure these guys are all good at what they do in whatever capacity, but I also sure they got kind of lost in the realm of fame. So let's talk about John Edwards. Early 2000s, Crossing Over became a major show. Signature style is fast-paced personal readings for audience members. That's more my cup of tea, truthfully. That's how I give a message. But comparing myself to John Edward is a lot for me. It's a lot for me. In 2002, New York Times covered and other reports describe producers trimming or editing shows. Here we go again to emphasize hits. The very structure of the program selects emotional, shareable moments because really that's what the audience wants to see. If you saw everything that was not hittable, you'd lose the show. A lot of parodies, though. Even South Park did a parody of John Edward.
Seriously, that's
And
hilarious.
skeptical write-ups, drawing attention to guessing, leading tactics, live audience, sometimes reported lower success than the TV implied. All super serious, same things, right? Segments edited to highlight compelling errors. What is the teaching point out of this, out of John Edwards' type of work? You just literally got to decide if you need to be famous. As a medium, as an intuitive practitioner, you've got to decide, you know, if you're going to work with TV editors, what are the boundaries? What is it about editing and consent and all those things, right? That you've got to look into. You got to look into it. Otherwise, it's always going to be edited. So even if we were to go into Theresa Caputo, she's the same thing. It's edited. So
Yeah.
her reality show success, she seemed accessible. She did family style readings. She did a lot of group readings. I will always remember not only that dry cleaner, but I remember the other one too. The dry cleaner that, she went in there and she was like, "Is your father in spirit?" Like, who goes into a dry cleaner, looks at the guy and is like, "Is your dad dead?" Oh, that is TV. That is TV. And she can swear up and down on Mother Mary that that's the way she works, and that's great. If that's the way she works, she is not my cup of tea. In 2012 to 2014, press pieces, including New York Times profiles and segments on other news programs, noted production edits, of course. In 2014, consumer complaints and some critical segments, entertainment news shows, questioned the vagueness of some readings. Skeptics and watchdog groups, of course, criticized her claims. That brings back the James Randi guy, right? Saying this is not it. But the thing is sometimes that's the information you get with spirit. It is vague. It is vague. This is
Yeah.
all they're giving me. What am I supposed to do with that? Do I not give it and say, "Oh, not a good message," or do I give it and hit with it and hit with it?
Well, and it's all for entertainment. This is like they're taking, maybe she's been there half an hour and they're making it into a 5-minute segment. So I find sometimes when people come for a reading, they're expecting us to be that way, like we're coming out with a full half hour of detailed, overly accurate, like almost like a novel read out. And it just doesn't work that way. Like there's ebbs and flows to readings, right?
Absolutely. And this kind of annoys me. They give an example of her, fans giving heartfelt moments. Skeptics point to rapid fire naming and soft hits that don't help hold up under scrutiny. And then they give this example: I'm feeling an older male with chest pain, used in critiques to show like leading statements that wait for audience agreement. How is that a leading statement? Now, okay, if I was going straight to a person and said, Nan, may I come to you, please? I have an older gentleman here. I feel a chest. I don't feel that's a leading statement at all. That's me giving a fact that I'm getting from spirit.
Because you've actually singled out one person. But if you were sitting there with 20 people going, I have someone here, I'm feeling chest pain, guaranteed one of those 20 people is going to be like, yeah, grandpa died of a heart attack. I'll take that. Right.
And there's a lot of good mediums that do that, though. There is a lot of them, especially ones that go over to England and get trained over there and stuff. They love the name dropping and all of that stuff. I just feel like you can't just berate Theresa for giving a message like that, even if it is to a large crowd, because if that's what she's getting, that's what she's getting, what she's supposed to do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If that is what she's getting. Now, hopefully, she can build on that. Now she's made the connection. Yes, you can take that. Let me come to you, please. And she can give some other evidence that will for sure make it in. I feel like this is grandfather energy for you, please. I feel like he worked at the railroad station. And now we're into it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, why do misses and hits happen? And if you're a practitioner, I'm going to say to you, core reasons, literally editing and production choices. It's just the way it is. Cold heart reading mechanisms. Who's your mentor, baby? Who taught you how to read? If you are doing it ethically and authentically and really sitting in that power, you should be able to go to someone and give them a message. That spirit should say, hey, go to Nancy, go to Fred, go to that woman with the big glasses over there. I want to talk to her. Right? And
Yeah.
people like the hits and tend to forget about the misses. So they like the hits and forget about the misses, but what about the times that the misses were bigger than the hits? So you have to be able to hold yourself, right? What are you interpreting versus what spirit's giving you as fact? You have to be clear when you're giving a message. You I know this. I know I have a man here in spirit. I feel that he's had, you have to, again, it comes down to who's training you, who's helping you become a better medium or better intuitive. That's my personal appearance. That's my personal appearance. That's my personal opinion. So here's what I would teach, Nan, and tell me if you agree. Let's always label what is impression versus fact. If you feel something, say, I'm feeling this. I see this. I hear this. I know this. Tell them how you're getting it. Tell them how you're feeling it. How is spirit giving it to you? Do not give anything in a criminal or medical case. So what I mean is, do not diagnose. I don't go down legal outcomes. I can give bits and pieces, but I don't ever ask spirit for like, hey, is she getting left $1 million in her will? I don't do that. And I don't do that because unless the person comes to me and asks me something specific, like really specific, I am not going to give maybes. Unless the spirit comes through and gives me something that is hard fact and I can feel my whole body can stand behind it, you're not going to get it from me. And I will not diagnose even if spirit told me. I may tell you to go to the doctor. I may tell you to have another
Exactly.
conversation, right? I may tell you to have another conversation with your brother who's the executor of the will,
And I'm the same way.
right? So, and make sure that if you are going to go up to just someone and be like, hey, is your dad dead? I would literally not recommend that to anyone. I would say to you, focus on being a good reader and wait till someone contacts you. Now, people will come at me and be like, well, what if that spirit really needs to give a message? You do you, baby.
But it's interesting because I've had people ask me the same thing, and if spirit wants to get a message relayed, they're going to actually, I will say to them, you figure out a way to get that person in front of me, because I'm not doing a show up and throw up on a message. I refuse to do it.
Yeah.
And spirit will. They'll find a way to either get that person in front of another medium or in front of me. You don't have to. I think it's unethical to show up to someone and deliver a message, especially if they're not ready for it emotionally or wanting it because of who it's coming from. When people choose to get a reading, that's why they book with a medium.
Exactly.
Not because they're on the street at the bus stop.
Exactly. So we're going to bring this to an end. I'm going to put onto Instagram a practical guideline and practical guidelines, what you should kind of follow. And I'm going to give you a closing affirmation, right? So a mini ritual closing affirmation to kind of do that. I'm going to do that right now. Nan, place your hands over your heart, baby.
Here they are.
Here they are. Breathe in 3 slow counts. Breathe in. One more time. I work with love and humility. I deliver what I receive with care. I hold space, not answers. May my words heal, not harm. All right, lovies, thank you for being willing to sit through all this messy stuff and all this constant back and forth. And here's what I take from this. Don't get a TV show. Right? Spirit is real. Our work matters, and it matters how we do the work.
Absolutely.
Truth bomb.
Mic drop.
Yep. Okay, Nan, close her off, baby.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. You can find us on all the regular handles. I'm found at Nancy Christine Brady on every platform, and you are found
Spirit Essence by Tara Diana, all platforms.
And please, 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 if you want more of this, if you're interested in some of the developmental goodies, join our Spirit Lounge. It's where you can be with like-minded people in a safe environment. And we have all sorts of good stuff you can check out there. We'll put the link in below. And until next time, thanks for listening.
And remember to help us out. Go to wherever you are listening, watching this, like us, 5-star us, give us a review. That helps us out, and we can just keep on growing and growing. Okay, that's it. Bye.
That's it. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wonderfully weird and metaphysical.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to follow us for more insights and behind-the-scenes fun.